Hello everybody, good morning to all. So today we are going to start the second chapter number 2 from your history, uh, which is from hunting, gathering to growing food. Okay, so এইটো চেপ্টাৰত ফাৰ্ষ্ট আমি থৰলি চেপ্টাৰটো জাষ্ট চাম, ৰিডিং কৰিম কি আছে চেপ্টাৰটোত. অ'কে, so first thoroughly এটা read কৰিম আমি chapter-টো. After that we have discussed the key points, major points which are included in this chapter. কি include হৈ আছে chapter-টো, কি points দিয়া আছে, কাৰ বিষয়ে কোৱা আছে, এই সকলোবিলাক আমি ডিসকাস কৰিম. Okay, we have explained. Okay, so ফাৰ্ষ্টতে আমি ৰিডিং কৰি লওঁ chapter-টো, এবাৰ পঢ়ি লওঁ কি আছে ইয়াতে. Okay, so chapter name was from hunting, gathering to growing food. Okay, Tusser's train journey. Tusser Laura ajonar naam train journey eta dia ase yate. Tusser was going from Delhi to Chennai for his cousin's wedding. They were traveling by train and he had managed to squeeze into the window seat, his nose glued to the glass pane. As he watched trees and houses fly past, his uncle tapped his shoulder and said, "Do you know the trains were first used about 150 years ago, and that people began using buses a few decades later?" Tusser wondered, when people couldn't travel quickly from one place to another, did they spend their entire lives wherever they were born? Not quite. Okay. The earliest people, why were they on the move? We know about people who lived in the subcontinent as early as 2 million years ago. Today, we describe them as hunter-gatherers. The name comes from the way in which they got their food. Generally, they hunted wild animals, caught fish and birds, gathered fruits, roots, nuts, seeds, leaves, stalks, and eggs. Hunter-gatherers moved from place to place. There are many reasons for this. First, if they had stayed at one place for a long time, they would have eaten up all the available plant and animal resources. Therefore, they would have had to go elsewhere in search of food. Second, animals move from place to place either in search of smaller prey or, in the case of deer and wild cattle, in search of grass and leaves. That is why those who hunted them had to follow their movements. Third, plants and trees bear fruit in different seasons, so people may have moved from season to season in search of different kinds of plants. Fourth, people, plants and animals need water to survive. Water is found in lakes, streams and rivers. While many rivers and lakes are perennial with water throughout the year, others are seasonal. People living on their banks would have had to go in search of water during the dry seasons, winter and summer. Okay. How do we know about these people? Archaeologists have found some of the things hunter gatherers made and used. It is likely that people made and used tools of stone, wood, and bone, of which stone tools have survived best. Some of these stone tools were used to cut meat and bone, scrape bark from trees, and hides, animal skins, chop fruit and roots. Some may have been attached to handles of bone or wood to make spears and arrows for hunting. Other tools were used to chop wood, which was used as firewood. Wood was also used to make huts and tools. Choosing a place to live in. Look at map 2 below. All the places marked with red triangles are sites from which archaeologists have found evidence of hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers lived in many more places, only some are shown on the map. Many sites were located near sources of water, such as rivers and lakes. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. Rock paintings and what they tell us. A painting from a rock shelter described the painting. Many of the caves in which these early people lived have paintings on the walls. Some of the best examples are from Madhya Pradesh and southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. Sites are places where the remains of things, tools, pots, buildings, etc. were found. These were made, used, and left behind by people. These may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even under water. You will learn more about different sites in later chapters. Finding out about fire. Find the kernel caves on map 2, page number 13. Traces of ash have been found here. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things as a source of light, to roast meat, and to scare away animals. What do we use fire for today? Names and dates. Archaeologists have given lengthy names for the time that we are studying. They call the earliest period the Paleolithic. Paleolithic. This comes from two Greek words, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. The name points to the importance of finds of stone tools. The Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. This long stretch of time is divided into the lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. The period When we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic Middle Stone. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Microliths were probably stuck onto handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continue to be in use. The next stage, from about 10,000 years ago, is known as the Neolithic. What do you think the term Neolithic means? We have also mentioned the names of some places. You will find the names of many more places in later chapters. Very often, we use present the names of the places where people lived in the past because we do not know what they called them. A changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world. With a shift to relatively warm conditions in many areas, this led to the development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer and antelope, goat, sheep and cattle. That is, এইটো মানে হৈছে that is I dot e dot এইটো মানে কয় আমি that is বুলি কয় এইটো that is animals that survived on grass. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits and their breeding seasons. It is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals themselves. Fishing also became important. The beginning of farming and herding. This was also a time when several grain-bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women, and children probably collected these grains as food. The land where they grew, and when they repent. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. People could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals, such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also the pig, lived in herds, and most of them ate grass. Often, people protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. This is how they become herders. So, আজি আমি ইয়ালৈকে ৰিডিং কৰিলোঁ এইখিনি আৰু আছে চেপ্টাৰটো দীঘলীয়া হয় চেপ্টাৰটো সো নেক্সট ক্লাছত আমি যিখিনি আমাৰ ৰৈ গ'ল ইয়ালৈকে আমি কৰিলোঁ কমপ্লিট সো ইয়াতে আমি টিক মাৰ্ক এটা লগাই দিম সো নেক্সট ভিডিঅ'ত আমি বাকী বেছি নাই আৰু এই কি আছে পিছফালে জাষ্ট এইখিনি ৰিডিং কৰিম থৰলি জাষ্ট ৰিডিং কৰিম তাৰপিছত আমি ইয়াৰ মেইন কি পইণ্টছখিনি আমি ডিছকাছ কৰিম এক্সপ্লেইন কৰিম okay so thank you